Hey everyone, my name is Lydia. I'm a senior biochemistry student here at Roberts, and I've been involved with SALT, the women's track team, tutoring, and a lot of other things. So you've probably seen me around, and I've probably seen you around. I have always been busy. In high school, I was this busy. In middle school, I was this busy. Maybe not quite this busy, but I've always sort of felt like my worth came from the number of things I did. And maybe you're in that boat with me too. Um, I've really been learning a lot this semester and last semester about where my identity comes from. I'm starting to realize that people's opinions of me don't always come from how many things I do or how well I do them, and that God's opinion of me certainly doesn't come from the things I do or how well I do them. So you might ask yourself, well, if my definition of success isn't in the money I'm making or the things I do or the awards I win, then where does my worth come from? And I would suggest that our person is made for community. I'm in a psychology of human relationships class this semester, and I've been in a couple Bible studies that have been really well timed to work together with the things I'm learning in that class. And I've been realizing that I find more purpose in my relationships than I do in anything else that I do, which is really hard for me as an introvert sometimes because it can be really draining to spend time with people, especially people that you may not want to spend time with. But it really has changed my life in significant ways to be somebody that really strives to be with people, for people, and just for people to be my priority. So I have a verse for you from the book of James. You might have heard it before. It says, "Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." All of those things have historically been difficult for me. I've been a talker. I have not always enjoyed listening to people, and I have had a bit of a temper, which you may or may not have seen. I have no idea. But I've been learning recently that we have much better relationships with ourselves, with other people, and with God when we follow those guidelines. And I also think that the listening part of that is really important. It can be easy to hold our anger in and to release it in the right ways, or to not become angry at all. And sometimes it can even be easier to be slow to speak. But I think for me, the most challenging one is to be quick to listen, and to really listen in a good way too. I think it's not just being quiet so that somebody else can talk, but really caring about what they're saying. As a Christian, I think that God has created each one of us with a specific story, and that story affects not only who we are, but what we do and how we relate to people. And the only way for us to learn somebody else's story is through listening. So I've been very intentional this semester about sitting down with people and asking them questions that I think will lead to them telling me parts of their story that are important to them. And if I hadn't sat with them, it takes that intention. If I hadn't given that intention to them and I hadn't asked questions, I hadn't been interested, I may have missed out on some really cool opportunities that God has given me, because He has. I've just listened to so many stories over the last year because I'm interested in seeing what God is doing in the world, and I've seen some incredible things. And I'm sure that you either have or could too, if that's something that you keep your eyes open for. So I just want to encourage you today that God is doing really cool things in the world, and not only in the world, but in each person's life. And that includes the people you like to spend time with, the people you don't like to spend time with, and it includes you too. So I encourage you to think about what your story is. If somebody asked you, where are you and why, and where are you going, would you be able to answer that question for them? And are you interested in asking other people those questions? Because if you're not, you might be missing out on some really important things that God is trying to tell you. But I don't want this to sound like a super huge goal either. You can do this one day at a time, one conversation at a time. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be huge. Just start putting that intention in, and you'll be surprised how God will meet you in your conversations with other people. So I hope that God blesses you the way that He always has, and I hope that you're just very aware of His story and the stories that are being sent through His people around you today and every day.